we're just about to have our very first rehearsal with the Royal Scottish National Orchestra for a brand new piece called Festival City. And it's a 12-minute piece for orchestra. That part's kind of normal, has some electric sounds, normal. What's unusual about it is that when I was asked to write the piece, I said, I'll do this if I can invite people who live in Edinburgh and people who care about Edinburgh to write it with me. It's beyond crowdsourcing because one thing I did was to ask people to send me sounds of the city, but I also developed apps with my team at the MIT Media Lab so people could take the sound materials as they were being developed and make their own versions of things and then send them to me or send them to others to discuss. We use several apps to allow people to be involved. One of them is called Cauldron. And it's funny because it kind of represents the sense I had of Edinburgh. Edinburgh is a very compact city. You can see it, all of it, from standing on one of several hills, but it's also layered and very deep and very complex. So I wanted an app where you'd have both of those layers at one time. So when you go into Cauldron, you see a kind of steamy, almost looks like a fluid on the surface. And you also hear my version of this kind of background sound of Edinburgh, which is a kind of mix of bagpipe and traffic and maybe an orchestra tuning up, something like that. If I stir the app like I'm stirring a soup, different aspects of the basic Edinburgh comes out. But on the side of the app, I have a bunch of little dots, each one of a different color. And each one of those is a sound that somebody has sent in to me that I like especially. They're kind of like ingredients for a soup. So I can drag and drop each of those, take one, drop it into the Cauldron app. Oh, that's nasty. There we go. If I just drop it there, I hear that sound for a minute, and then it just dissolves and fades away. But if I stir it, depending on where I stir and how I stir, that transforms. It becomes more lively. It blends with the background. Let it fade down a bit. And then I can take about 40 or 50 of these spices and mix them all together.
Naturally, when you're sourcing lots and lots of different ideas, I mean, literally hundreds, possibly thousands of ideas. I don't know how many he got himself, and how many he's actually incorporated. There's no way I could recognize all of them, probably, you know. But naturally, that's very different from the whole concept of how music is created, which is usually a kernel of an idea, you know, a couple of motivic ideas, which are then manipulated into all kinds of different things and become a massive symphony. So, you know, Brahms writes an entire symphony based on 3 or 4 tiny little motifs. This is the opposite thing. It's like a little bit of this, a little bit of that. So his skill has to be to try to make that sound as one thing. And, you know, there's nobody else who has ever tried to do this, and there's certainly nobody as qualified as Todd to be doing it so successfully. It's not quite going to come out at the moment. Should we lighten the other?
Everything should be lighter that's accompanying it. It all sounds
yes, I think that's right. So
this isn't the first time we've done a project like this. It's the second time. The first was this previous year. I did a large project in Toronto. That one happened over a long period of time. The composition itself was 35 minutes. It was a big symphony. And the reaction was very interesting. Many people asked the question leading up to the concert, what was more important about this project? Was it the process of developing it with people, or was it the music itself? And I told everyone, it's both. It has to be listened to as a piece of music, and it's also a very unique process, and they feed on each other. Most of the general public who came, based on reaction and blogs, and I think really got it, and I think they felt like they contributed, and this is my city, and it's something new. I think some of the classical music critics went and said, okay, we get the process, but somehow, you know, we don't like the piece as much. So I think they're wrong. But I think that it does mean, I'm not surprised, because many of the projects I do are complex. They often involve new ideas, new technologies, and new music. It's very hard to tell a story where they all fit together. To me, I really deeply believe they fit together. It just means that every time you have to try to make sure that both in the project and in the story, it's even clearer.